Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestler Weekly Presents. I'm your host, Scottie Richardson, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode here in Season 3, showcasing the old mags that we once grew up with. And, we've had some great guests already this season, from Bill Apter to Dave Milliken, and many more to come. So stay tuned and you'll see who they might be. But this episode, I'm going to title this one The Random Episode. That's right, The Random Episode. So, we got this Terry Funk mag. I'm going to come back to that. But just for collectors, and I know that I got a great message, quite a few actually, but one in particular, talking about, hey, Scottie, I went out and I bought me a little trusty tripod. I went out and I went to IKEA or Amazon or wherever, and I got a little cardboard box to put my mags in. And I've been looking and searching through yard sales and flea markets and eBay and you name it, Facebook, different groups and different things happening. And so we have created, here at Wrestler Weekly, we're on the cutting edge. We try to stay ahead of the trends. And we have actually created a community that are now going out and doing what Reggie and I and Mike have done for years. And that is to go out and look for the old mags and relive our childhood. And so I actually wrote a book about it. You can find that on Amazon right now if you search Family, Bacon, and Wrestling. Family, Bacon, Wrestling. The book is going well and looking forward to starting that second book. Talking about Superstar Billy Graham versus Harley Race in the Super Bowl of Wrestling. So that one is coming out hopefully early next year, so stay tuned for that. Now, I have got a box of just signed 8x10s. And there's some random mags in here. Let me pull this one out. But this is just like all these are signed 8x10s, and half of them, I don't even know where I got them, who they are. So we're going to find out today. It's been a while since I cracked open this box. And so we're going to do that today here on this random episode. No theme whatsoever, but we're just going to pull these out, jack in a box, put them up, talk about them. I've also got a package break. Been a while since we did the old package break, so we're going to do that on this episode as well. If you want to support Wrestler Weekly, here's how you can do that. First, you can go to Twitter and follow us at Wrestler Weekly. You can also go to our Facebook page and make sure you like that. And then also go to Instagram. You can follow us there as well. But then also on YouTube, you can subscribe, and every Wednesday night at 9 p.m., as soon as the clock strikes 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. West Coast time, your email, you will get the little chime if you have the alerts on, and the episode will be delivered right in your inbox. So as a subscriber, if not, you can check when we retweet it and tweet it out, or put it out on Instagram and Facebook. And you can follow those in links in our bio. If you want to pick up t-shirts, go to prowrestlingtees.com/wrestlerweekly. You can find the Family Bacon Wrestling t-shirt, and you can find that in many different colors: long sleeve, short sleeve, tank tops, you got it. And then also the Wrestler Weekly logo, you can find logo t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com. All right, I think we've paid the bills, and now we're ready to roll. Now, I have started something that I thought would be kind of cool. And I went back, and now I am acting like, as a child, you use your imagination quite a bit. But I am now going back and acting like that I've got a subscription to my favorite mag, Inside Wrestling. And I'm going to start from 1977 and go to December, so January of 77 to December of 1982. From 1977 to 1982, that is my favorite. That was when I was just understanding, when I was waking up, smelling the bacon and sitting down with the family watching Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. That is when the family moved to Florida in 1981, and we right there in 81, 82, and then it's like, you got to read the book because something happens right in that time frame. Something happens, and it is not until 1986 until we start kind of coming back. And then in the summer of 1987, I was fortunate enough to meet Ric Flair, but you can read about that in Family Bacon Wrestling. So here's what I have done. Now, some of these obviously I already own, but some of them I don't. And so I'm getting them in the mail. I'm buying them, and they're being shipped here, right? And so I'm getting them, and I'm opening them up. But I am going back, starting with January of 1977. And I started this on Fridays with hashtag Friday ratings. And so I am actually going through these Inside Wrestlings, the Inside ratings, which I'll show in a second. But I have started in January of 77, and I'm actually reading the articles. I am going through January into February, which I had up a little while ago, but here's the February month. And I am reading them in succession. So I am picking up things that, and obviously January 77, that means wrestling, because remember the magazines were ahead of the month. So, 3 or 4 months ahead. And so 1976, October, is right in that time frame. So October, November. For instance, there's a tag team that I was reading about, which is an unbelievable tag team. When we're talking Baron Von Raschke tagging with Blackjack Lanza. Now that is a tag team. And all I can say, when I reached out to Maddie at Wrestling with Classics, when I reached out to Reggie, my brother, when I reached out to Mike, and we started talking about Baron Von Raschke tagging with Blackjack Lanza. I mean, what an unbelievable tag team. But think about this, the match that they're wrestling in the magazine, there's this little snippet, they're taking on Rocky Johnson and Dick the Bruiser. I mean, unbelievable. Could you imagine being at that match? I mean, so now I'm going back and reading these things, and as Bill Apter and all the guys, Peter King, all these guys that were writing for the magazine, Dan Shockett, whatever it is. And so that is February. And that, by the way, this is not signed. This is just basically a reader copy that I picked up to, again, read the articles. Reggie has this one signed by Terry Funk, and I was the one that I have a picture. I'll put that out. But I met Terry Funk, Asheboro, North Carolina, I think maybe 2015 maybe. And so Reggie mailed me this, and I had Terry Funk sign it, so I can put that picture out of him actually signing this mag. But this mag particular, as you see, is just a black mark on it. And so Terry Funk will be at All In, and so maybe he will sign this one. But this is March of 77. And I'm getting ready to show you. And this is, for me, this is what it was all about. The official ratings and going through that. And I'll put this out. These will be out in hashtag Friday ratings, the old school ratings. But this is March of 77. And, what's great is, as a kid, our focus was on wrestling magazines. I mean, that one, we wanted to get them in the newsstand, but when we're talking back issues, because remember, I mean, March of 77, I mean, I was 4 years old. So I didn't turn 5 until late October of 77. So this is wrestling that, we would not have known. I mean, we, understood, I should say. And so looking at and going through some of these mags, we would look at the magazine back issues. You remember what those were? So if we had the magnifying glass out looking at these back issues, we were looking for magazines like this, where you had a guy on the cover with a belt. We were big belt marks. It's like Bill Apter said, yeah, I can tell. And then, that's why we wanted Dave Milliken on our episode, because this was kind of what we really, and Dave said it best, we gravitated toward the belts and we wanted to see them up close. And remember, Harry Burkett last season in our season finale, he talked about what was great about the covers is everything in these mags were black and white, but the cover was the color shot and could really give us an up-close view of belts. But when you're looking at magazines that did not have a guy on the cover with a belt, as a kid, we probably just overlooked this mag. We would overlook this. And so, yeah, there's some great content looking back now, but when you're growing up and you're looking at, so now as an adult, we're now going back and going, wow. Reggie and I talking about, wow, we've never seen this mag before. And so now we get the opportunity to read them. So that to me is, so now going through them in order and getting the articles and the stories. I mean, it's almost like reading a book or watching a series on Netflix. I mean, that's kind of how into it and so try it. You go out and do it. I think you will enjoy it. It opens up. It's opened up a whole new respect for the magazines. I'll tell you that. All right, what do we got in the big grab bag box? Now, first, I picked this up at a flea market in Myrtle Beach, and it is Marvel Comics, WCW comic books, if you remember these, and this is issue number 4. When dangerous alliances are formed, it means trouble for the new WCW champ Sting. So it's got Sting on the cover, big gold around the waist. So again, big gold championship, world champion on the cover. These are things that we would definitely gravitate to. So I was looking for New York Yankee baseball cards at flea market, and I stumbled across this. So I picked it up, and I picked it up because, as you remember on my show, Bill Apter gave me a nice invitation to be with he and Sting at the event in October that's going to happen. So I'm going to try to do that and get Sting to sign this Marvel comic, issue number 4. Now, speaking of Sting and speaking of comics, let's do the package break, because I think I know what's in this. So we are going to find out for sure. Here we go. That was easy. Sometimes, as you know, every time I do a package breaks, something goes wrong. But here we go. This is, I'm going to take it out of the plastic for you. This one is not signed, but soon will be signed. Reggie has a copy of this signed. So he's 2 up on me on this episode. He's got the Terry Funk and now this one. But here's the Sting I'm going to get signed. And this is PWI November of 1990. This is a classic mag. Sting winning the world title, the big gold. This was kind of that changing of the guard, if you will, that we thought we would have seen with Magnum, but now here it is with Sting. And so looking forward to getting Sting to sign these. I have met Sting before. I've got a poster that he signed for me that is actually a wrestling card poster where I saw him and Ric Flair in Jacksonville Coliseum. And so he signed that for me, but it'll be great to get these two signed by Sting. Now, this PWI has a poster, and wow, look at this poster, guys. Wow, look at that, Road Warriors. So it'd be nice to get Animal to sign. Animal may be at this event, so this could be a two for one deal. Hopefully you're enjoying our 2 for Tuesdays and hashtag Tuesdays. But a couple good ones there. So let's see what else we got. Now this one's fairly new. This is from the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame 2012, a signed 8x10 of Dominic DeNucci. And here's the certificate of authenticity. But here's a guy we don't talk much about, Dominic DeNucci, WWF Upper Northeast wrestler. Fantastic. You can check him out. Now here's one, my old buddy, Tommy Wildfire Rich, but as the Big Don. You remember that in the ECW days? The Big Don. Now I've got these in the, typically I will take them out of the plastic. Season 1, I did not take them out of the plastic, but we wanted to make sure there was no glare. Oh, and I forgot something. Remember I said 2-4, talking about comics and talking about Sting. Well, there's the package break on Sting. I'm not going to open this package, but this, if you're into comics, if we got some guys out there into comics, I know my buddy Nick McDaniel from Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. Shout out to you, buddy. This is an Iron Fist, but it is the first appearance of Sabretooth. So this is going to be a good one, Nick. And so I'm using it as a help my tripod stand here get a little lift. So I'll open that later after the show. What else we got in here? Oh, wow. Let's talk about these. Now, I talked about it earlier. This one gets me a little choked up, actually. One of the very first autographs that I ever got, and I talk about this in my book, was a chance meeting. And this helped us get back into wrestling. If you want to find out what happened and how it happened and why there was, we got out of wrestling, you got to read the book. But in a Rose's department store, and I've talked about this before, but this, and I know it might be difficult to see, try to get the glare off of it, but this is the first autograph I ever got from the Nature Boy Ric Flair with the big gold. He wrote to Scottie, best wishes, Ric Flair. This was in 1987, summer of 1987. You can read all about the story in my book. But so this is the first autograph that I got in person with Ric Flair. The last autograph that I got from Ric Flair in person was this picture, and it's not a cover of a magazine. It is not a pull-out poster. It is just a great photograph. And I believe George Napolitano took this photo. I got to reach out to George and ask him. But wow, this thing, it just struck me. And hopefully that it'll do the same for you. But check out this. This is vintage Ric Flair. Vintage Ric Flair. I got Rick to sign this at WrestleCon in March or April of 2017 is the last time I saw Rick in person. But here he is with the 10 pounds of gold, the crimson mask, and the signature. And so these two side by side, I'm going to frame these both together. And that's the next one of my projects. It's on my list. But just very happy with that book. I mean, that bookend. If these were the only two autographs that I ever received from Ric Flair, I would be happy. And so that's a little sentimental version for you. What else we got in here? How about this one? I thought this was a cool one. It's an 8x10 that was a promotional flyer from January 15th of 2010. And it is from the Wrestle Brawl in Sanford, Florida. And this is a Greg Valentine with the Intercontinental title. And I thought this was a great photo of Greg, and I'm really happy to have it signed. But always loved that belt, the old IC belt with the green version. I thought that was a great one. Oh, and I haven't mentioned Bobby Norton, DLR. That's for you, bud. What else we got in here? Oh, look at this one. This is my guy. You know, there's certain people that you look up to and you want to emulate. Now, when I was a kid and I had my Star Wars figures and they were wrestling, you know, Chewbacca was always Ernie the Cat Lad. And who else do we have? I think Walrus, for whatever reason, Walrus Man was Abdullah the Butcher. So these two guys would go at it. But I would you know, have a try to do a voice and a kind of a falsetto voice, and as if like the crowd's behind you, like Ernie the Cat Lad, it's just, oh, what a power slam. So do one of those things, but I was always emulating this man. Says to Scottie, best wishes, the voice of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, Bob Caudle. Fortunate enough to meet Bob at an NWA Legends Fan Fest in Charlotte. And what a gracious, kind man. And, you know, when I heard his voice coming on, you know, and so on Saturday mornings and waking up, and wow, I mean, this was the guy. So I ate a lot of bacon watching this guy on Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. So really happy that I have that one. See what else we got. Something good for you in the goodie box. How about, look at this one. This is an old one. I'm going to do, now I'm going to put it up. Now you tell me who that is. I'm going to wait. Oh yes, you got it. You got it. This guy is a member of the Four Horsemen. This is James J. Dillon. So J.J. Dillon, he's got a trophy, and this one is signed. So real happy with that one. That's a nice 8x10 that I have. You know, speaking of Ric Flair, I saved this. I will just tell you that this came from Joel. I won't give you his last name or his city and state, but Joel sent me this. I had bought something Ric Flair. I don't even remember what it was. And he drew a picture on the priority mail mailer, and I saved it. But look, check this out. Do not bend, please, thanks, and then woo! So Joel, fantastic work, my friend. But I figured I would save. So this is Joel. Your work is in the Wrestler Weekly collection. So congratulations on that. But I thought that was pretty cool. Now, what else we got in here? All right, here's a couple cool ones for you. All right, here. How about this one? Wow, this is a long time ago. Bash at the Beach, mid-90s. It was me and Reggie, Hitman John Januzzi, his cousin Paul Daniel, which for whatever reason we always, you know, kind of kidded him because he had two first names, you know, as his first and last name, Paul Daniel. And so, and then who else was in the car? The crippler, Dan White, how could I forget that? And I'm not sure if Dave Wood was there or not. Reggie, you'll have to help me. My memory is going. But we're all piled into this car, and we've got our black Four Horsemen t-shirts on. And we're going to Daytona Beach, Bash at the Beach, Dennis Rodman, if you remember that Bash at the Beach. And so the day before, we got autographs, and there were people lined up to get autographs. Well, here was one of my autographs, and it's to Scottie. There's no picture, but that is WWE Hall of Famer Medusa. So that is, got to meet Medusa, and she signed this for me, so thank you. I still have it. How about a couple more? Pedro Morales and Bob Backlund. Remember, they won the WWF Tag Team, the World Tag Team Championship, and defeated the Samoans in 1980 at Shea Stadium in New York. And this article, his little write-up says, Backlund felt terribly for Morales when he decided to relinquish the title. Remember, Bob Backlund was the world champion. He had to give up this one half of the tag belts. But there is Pedro and Bob Backlund with their world tag titles signed. Now here's one. Kevin Von Erich and David Von Erich both have signed this. And there's a photo on the back of Kevin. But here is a young Kerry. Look how young Kerry is. But David Von Erich, Kevin Von Erich autographs have been certified and confirmed by Kevin Von Erich, who signed this one. And so just an honor to own a David Von Erich autograph. And if you have not read it yet, I had written an article about David Von Erich. And you can find that on 720wrestling.com. You can find all of my articles. Those Austin Idol and Ken Patera. You can find those, and Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. So wrote some articles and or have written some articles, and they're out there. 720wrestling.com. All right, couple more. We're checking the time. I got to talk about these two. I got these two real quick. One of my dad's favorite wrestlers, he had two favorite wrestlers, Blackjack Mulligan and Ox Baker. And here, I got to meet Ox Baker at a Legends Fan Fest. And here is Ox Baker signed, two of them. And man, we miss this guy. What a great wrestler, talker. I mean, scary, the heart punch. I mean, when he got on the mic, you were frightened. When he got in the ring, you thought he was going to really kill somebody. And so a couple of Ox Bakers, and really, really happy to have those. Do I have anything else in here? This is a pretty cool piece. I had sent Hulk Hogan some things in the past, and very nice. I mean, he sent me back this was for free. He sent me back a bumper sticker, Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling bumper sticker, not only signed by Hulk Hogan, but also signed by the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Check this out. Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, and there's this is an original wrapper from the pack of cards. And I saved this. I still had this. This is the one I had as a kid in the mid-'80s. So I don't know if it has a date, probably 80, 85. But I thought these were pretty cool, you know, for free. Can't beat free. So thanks, Hulk, and thank you, Jimmy Hart. Do we want to end on that? Let's end on, because I want to say we might have to do another show on this one. But let's do this one last. The article, the story's in my book, so I'm not going to go into detail. But I got to meet this guy literally weeks before he passed. And my cousin, Tony Richardson, who I write about in my book. He was TR Superstar. He was an independent wrestler. And Tony, my cousin, and this guy were very good friends. And so Tony introduced me to him. And what a great guy. And that was Nature Boy Buddy Landell. This autograph here is just a reproduction facsimile. But this one, I had Nature Boy Buddy Landell sign this when I met him. And wow, what a great guy. So now, here's what I'm going to do. I've got some things to give to you. This is a promo from the Halloween show that we did when I worked with Tommy Wildfire Rich last year in Myrtle Beach. This promo we never sent out. So because we added Austin Idol to this card, and when we did, we got rid of these flyers and got more and put Austin in it. So these are flyers with Homicide, Manny Fernandez, the Raging Bull, Tommy Rich, these were never distributed. So if you want one, send me a message, okay? Send me a message. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and I will mail you one of these for free. So if you want one, I'll do that for you. And is that it? I believe that is it for now. So don't forget, you can find us at Wrestler Weekly on Twitter. Check out Mike Leotis on Tuesday nights at Wrestler Weekly Live on Twitter, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. He always does a great 30-minute show, so check him out every Tuesday night. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and check us out on YouTube. Wrestler Weekly Presents. We're going to have a stellar, star-studded group of guests coming up, including my brother Reggie, Mike Leotis, Maddie from Wrestling with Classics, Mike Mooneyham, Les Thatcher, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling and the Mid-Atlantic Mags. Also, more and more people are wanting to get on the show, so we're trying to accommodate them, and we appreciate the support and the love. So fans, hopefully you have enjoyed this random episode. Until next time, so long for now.
Get him an ice cream.
All right, go ahead. Get him some milk. What you got there, buddy? Show us. What is that?
This is a Carolina Reaper.
All right.
The hottest pepper in the world. All right, you ready?
All right.
Hold on. I gotta do this. Like you said, you better videotape too.
All right.
Oh, Jackson's excited.
Jackson, you gotta watch this.
I'm in.
You ready?
Yeah.
Carolina Reaper going down.
Oh my
This
god.
will do the whole thing?
Oh.
Got it.
All right, Scotty.
You
How
sweating
long does it
yet?
take for the heat to hit?
45 seconds.
All right.
Where's the sweat?
If there's one man who can handle heat, it's him. So,
How you feeling? Is it bad?
still chewing. Still chewing.
Whew.
Let's look at the aftermath.
You're on fire?
He took the whole thing there. Big boy.
Oh.
Here we go.
Here comes the hiccups.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get your milk and stop your hiccup.
oh buddy.
Are your ears ringing yet?
Just don't throw
Okay,
up.
I can smell
Can you
it.
smell it?
Hiccups.
Milk, let's stop your hiccup.
Oh, he's too tough for that. Don't puke.
That's
You're not stopping unless you drink some milk. The ears hurt, don't they?
Ears.
Drink some milk. Drink some milk.
What's
Ears are
happening right
red.
now, Scotty? What's happening?
What are you
How are you
thinking?
feeling?
It's like a fire bomb. Can't talk.
Oh,
You really can't even think.
Are your eyes water? Are you okay? Please take a drink of milk.
Come here.
Can you feel anything in your body?
It's hot.
Okay. We have ice cold frosty mug of milk. Let's try that.
Have some milk and you can have some cookie cake.
Milk will stop it, I promise you. Milk will stop it. It'll give you some relief.
You made it 2.5 minutes.
That is crazy.
Are you sick?
His eyes don't look good.
Yeah, it hurts.
That's crazy.
It hurts.
Y'all are crazy.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, your ears. Your ears. Feel like somebody
Your
trying to
ears
stick
hurt?
PVC pipe
That's
and
so
ram it in your ears.
weird.
That's the worst part of it.
That's bizarre.
I'm crazy. Oh, man.
You're all red, buddy. You gonna be sick? Oh,
There's a bathroom right around
you
the
need a
corner.
bucket?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
So at this point, how long does it take to go away?
6 minutes.
Oh,
6.
well, you're almost there, buddy. You're 3.5 minutes in.
Woo. Oh, it's rough.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. It is rough. Wait till 5 a.m. Wait till 5 a.m. It's
Get a bird coming out.
Sure does. He's burnt.
Shane says it sure.
Oh my
Your
god.
ears just hurt and you can't explain. It's
That's
like there's
weird.
a passage here to here. It's big. And it just, it's really just
You about to go jump
grinding
in the
the
pool,
PVC
buddy?
pipe in your ear. Oh.
Okay.
Do you need to sit? They're sweating.
That's rough.
It's very.
So Shane had a quarter of one.
All right, you're a minute and a half to 6 minutes.
You're close.
You're almost there.
It's
You're there,
passing.
you're getting
Chug
there.
your milk. Chug your
I
milk.
don't like milk.
It's all right.
Well, you can't
Might
taste
like it
it,
now.
so it might help you.
That's the only thing that will slow it down a little. Is some milk.
You regretting it now?
He's swishing. He's swishing.
Oh, buddy.
Holy moly. How many minutes is it, Sarah?
5 minutes, 12 seconds.
Oh, God.
And people really eat the freaking peppers. That's ridiculous.
Scottie just ate one.
No, I'm like Carolina Reaper bean sauce.
Well, that's diluted so much it's actually good. It's hot.
Is
but
it
it's
good?
Yeah. You don't let.
I'll let it get
Say, yay, Mr. Scottie. You're back.
Hey.
You gonna be sick? Is it passing?
It's like when I breathe out, it just comes back.
Comes right back. Yeah.
Oh, y'all are crazy.
All right, you're at 6 minutes.
All right, so it's got to start slowing down, right?
Your sugar helps here.
Sugar. Okay.
Oh yeah, eat a gummy worm.
Gummy worm. It's easy. It's coming down that little
Did
side.
you bring your gummy worm?
I didn't know.
Sarah, she didn't even know.
I like that one.
How you doing, buddy?
His eyes are bloodshot.
You feel sick? Oh.
Yo, it makes your stomach just die.
You need an ice? You want an ice cube? You want to jump in the pool?
You have any ice cream? Well, you like milk.
Yeah.
You like
Jump in the pool.
You like ice cream? You like ice cream? We sent Vicky's mom out for ice cream sandwiches. Like an hour later, we were killing ice cream sandwiches.
Give him one of those magnets.
Buddy.
Scoop of that and see.
Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah, sure.
Need a burp.
Can't burp.
Need a burp.
It's probably just
You
gonna
don't-
like
All
fuse
come.
out.
Everything's gonna come.
You need to breathe fire.
You're scared to death. The hiccup scares you worse. Does it hurt so bad? You know what I'm saying? It's like when you hiccup.
So did Matt do yours? I gotta see yours.
Matt did.
Who did it with you?
Me and Vicky's two nephews and sister.
Her sister.
Yeah.
Here.
Ooh, bud.
He's still
Sharp.
He's still red though.
You're all right.
Scottie, are you hanging in there?
But
That's better.
he's one downside of it.
Hey, buddy.
You feel better now?
That's a rough 6 minutes, isn't it?
You're at 8:15 now.
What? Ask
You good?
Daddy.
Yeah.